Should you still get the iPad mini 3 here in 2025? So the iPad mini 3 came out back in 2014, which was almost 10 years ago, and in this video I'll be explaining to you whether or not it's still worth buying almost 10 years later. So first off, we'll be talking about the design, then I'll be going over the specs and whether or not it's still worth buying. So starting off with the design, so at the front we have a 7.9-inch screen from one corner to the other, and if we flip to the back, a couple of the features that I like on this iPad is the fact that it still has the silent switcher, and at the top we also have the headphone jack, and it also comes with two different colors. So there's the space gray and there's also the silver model, and here's what that looks like. And that's basically all there is for the design of the iPad mini 3. So let's now talk about the speeds of this device. So starting off with the RAM, this device comes with just 1 GB of RAM. So as you can see here, it says that it has just 1 GB, and it also has the Apple A7 chip, which was the same one from the iPhone 5S. And for comparison, the latest iPhone, the iPhone 16 Pro right now, has the Apple A18 Pro chip, and it also has 8 GB of RAM. So the iPad mini 3 is definitely falling very behind on the speeds. And from my own personal experience, I can't really load YouTube or do online gaming all that well, but I can actually read articles, and that's what I mainly use it for. So the speeds of this iPad are at the most going to allow you to type documents, read articles and ebooks, and also do note taking, but it's not going to allow you to just do much more than that. So moving on to the battery life, this is actually where the iPad mini 3 performs really well. So it comes with 6,500 mAh of battery, and for comparison, the latest iPhone 16 Pro has just 3,500, so it definitely does really well with the battery life. And from my own personal experience, I've been able to use it for multiple days straight without needing to charge it. And if it does ever become an issue for you, you could also get a separate battery case, but this likely won't be necessary because of how long the battery lasts. Now moving on to the display, the iPad mini 3 actually has a really good display. It has a 2048 by 1536 pixel resolution at 326 pixels per inch. And when you look up close, you can't really see the pixels. So the display on this iPad is definitely not an issue. And that's really all there is to cover for the display. Let's now talk about the software support. So as of right now, if we go into settings, then into software update, it'll tell us that it only goes up to iOS 12.5.7, and iOS 12 came out back in 2017, so it is lagging really far behind on the software updates. So if you want to have the latest software features on your iPad, this definitely won't be the device for that. Now moving on to the camera quality, let's first go over the front camera, and then I'll talk about the back camera of this iPad. So the front camera can only take up to 1.2 megapixel photos, and the video quality only goes up to HD at 30 FPS. So the video quality is nothing that you'd want to use on social media, but it's good enough for FaceTime. And as for the rear camera, it could take up to 1080p video at 30 FPS, and the photo quality goes up to 5 megapixels. So that's really all there is to cover for the camera. Let's now talk about the storage options on the iPad mini 3. So this device comes with 3 different storage options. So there's a 16, 32, and 64 gigabytes. And the one that I have right now has 16 gigabytes. And if you're someone who keeps a lot of documents or photos and videos on your device, this definitely isn't going to be enough for you. So if you want to go for 64 or 128, it will cost you a lot more. You could even end up spending double if you go for the 128 model. And that's really all there is for the storage. Let's now talk about whether or not it's still worth buying. So my recommendation for you is that here in 2024, you don't get the iPad mini 3. There are several options that I would recommend instead. So first off, there's the iPad mini 2, because it is going to be a bit cheaper. So if you just want to use the device as an ebook or something to write documents on, the iPad mini 2 is fast enough for that. But if you want to be able to actually watch YouTube videos or do anything more than that, I would recommend going for something else like the iPad mini 5. So the iPad mini 5 can definitely handle the internet really well. And if you don't really care about the size and how portable the iPad is, you could also consider getting the iPad 9, which is a lot faster. You could also consider getting the iPad 9, which isn't all that expensive. It is a bit bigger, but it definitely does perform fast for how cheap it is. So that's pretty much it for this video. I will have links for all the other iPads that I mentioned down below, so if you want to see video reviews for all of those, be sure to check them out. And that's pretty much it for this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out my channel to see more videos like this in the future. And if you have any other video suggestions, make sure to leave them down in the comments below.